Chapter 48, Academy Leaders. All the students involved in the incident had been interviewed, and that, of course, included Quinn and Vorden. However, they weren't asked many questions like the two of them thought they would be. They were simply asked to recall the events that happened. Judging by the fact that the person integrating them didn't seem surprised by what they had said, it seemed like they had already gathered everything they needed from the other students and was just doing this as a formality. The next day had arrived and it was a weekend for students. Just like any other school, students did not have to attend classes and were free to do as they wished around the city. Although the curfew still existed, so they had to be back in their dorm rooms before 10 in the evening and they were not allowed to leave the city. However, for the leaders at the school, their day was not as relaxing as the students, for a meeting had been called. Inside the academy on the top floor, the leaders of the academy had gathered in a fairly large meeting hall. A large table was centered in the middle of the room. The table was split into two different sections. At the head of the table there were 4 seats in total. One of the seats was a little bigger than the others, and this was where the captain of the academy would sit. Currently, this seat remained empty for the meeting. In the other seats, usually by the captain's side, were the 3 generals of the school. There was the head of the second-year students, Duke, with his large arms and muscular build. Then the head of the first-year students, Nathan, who looked the complete opposite of Duke. He was small in size and wore glasses. He was always casually dressed for important occasion, which annoyed Duke. The two of them did not get along. Lastly, there was the third general, who was head of staff, and the rest of the privates and teachers in the academy. Currently, his seat was also empty. The 2 generals sat in their seats waiting for the others to arrive, and as usual, there was silence between the two of them. Then finally the doors opened and 8 people had arrived, all wearing the military uniform, and each one of them had the rank of sergeant displayed. Out of these 8 sergeants, it included Leo, the beast weapons teacher, Faye, the head of squads, and Haley, the school doctor. The 8 sergeants sat in their seats opposite to the generals, and finally it was time for the meeting to start. Faye was the first to stand and speak. "We are here today to conduct the meeting on what to do with the second-year students, who were involved in the case, involving primarily the first-year student known as Vorden Blade and the students who were part of Dell's class and Leo's beast weapons class." Faye then pressed a little button on a controller she held in her hand. In front of the generals and the other sergeants, a holographic report was being displayed to them. "I believe you have all read the reports, but this is here just for your reference. I would like to ask your opinion on how these students should be punished, General Duke." "Punished?" Duke said. "I see no reason for these students to be punished. If you look at the report, it seems like Vorden was the first to attack the others. They were simply retaliating. These types of things happen all the time. But then why gather the rest of the first-year students?" Nathan casually added. "It seems like to me other students had gotten involved. I agree the students fight all time and we purposely do nothing to stop this, but this seemed a little too much, no?" "Fine. Further restrictions will be put on the second years and first-year students. They shall only meet when necessary. I will be in charge of issuing out the punishments to the second-year students. Is that okay with you, Nathan?" Nathan simply shrugged, as if he didn't really care about the matter in the first place. He had only made his argument to annoy Duke. "I urge the rest of the sergeant to take extra precaution," said Faye. "It was only recently we had the death of a student in our school. Unlike with Brandon, Vorden is an original. If his family was to get involved in it, would not be good for the academy." "Tisk, filthy scum," Duke said under his breath. The military didn't have a good impression of originals. When the war started, they were the ones who risked their lives to save the people of the planet. It wasn't until it truly looked like the humans would lose the war did the originals come forward and share their power with everybody, and not even all of them did that. Then Haley stood up. "I would like to talk about the matter involving the 2 students with strange wounds on their bodies. Were there any reports about a beast escaping from one of the portals?" "Your father, who is not present at the moment, reported that there was no such thing. Even using the radar, we were unable to trace anything. Duke replied. If it wasn't the beasts, then just what caused those wounds? Haley thought as she sat back down in her seat. How is the preparation for the portal outing coming along for the first-year students? Leo asked. Yes, everything has been all set up. Nathan said. A green portal has been selected for the students to go through and the base has made preparations for their arrival. It should all go smoothly next week. Do you know what planet the expedition will take place on? Leo asked. Then I will be able to better prepare my students. It's best to ask your students to pack some sun cream and their sunglasses as they will be arriving on the planet Callity, Nathan replied. Planet Callity, a planet that was mostly covered in desert and contained low-tier beasts. Its day cycles were also vastly different compared to that of Earth. Instead of the 24-hour day and night cycle that Earth had, Callity contained a 72-hour cycle. It was brilliant for those that loved the sunlight and heat.